back to the channel. I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. So today we're going to be going over basically intro to preparedness. And maybe you have gotten into the subject before. Maybe this is your first time. I'm going to go ahead and start from like the very ground floor, work my way up from there, and just kind of show how you should have a thought process of how you go about buying things, some options, or maybe some things you can get. Maybe I'll go over something that you haven't thought of before. I'm definitely not an expert in this, but I've tried to do my best to try and prepare my own household, and it's an ever constant evolving and changing subject. And you just kind of do your best to try and keep up with it, keep up with what's changing in the world, and how to prepare best. So before I hop in, I just want to go over the rule of three. I'm guessing a lot of you have already heard of this before, but if not, I'll go ahead and go over it for you. So generally, you can go 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. There's also kind of one more, and it can be 3 seconds without hope. And what preparedness is doing for you is it's allowing you to have hope, really. Of course, on my channel, I have my hope in God, my hope in my faith, which I share. And of course, that comes foremost for me. I know a lot of people out there will disagree with me, and that is okay. You are entitled to your opinion, and I just want to share what I believe. But also, another thing that kind of give you some hope is preparedness, having things on hand. So when a disaster does come, something happens in your household, you have the things on hand to go ahead and deal with that. So from that list there, we can deduct that, like, all right, hope. Most important, you're going to run to that first. Second, what's that? It's going to be water. So jumping into that, they recommend about a gallon per person per day for water, and that is daunting. That is a lot of water if you want to try and have it on hand. So there's a couple methods here. I mean, you can pick up big old containers like this. Some people attach rain barrels outside of their homes, gutter feeding into that, keep those filled. You can have hundreds of gallons that way. So that's definitely an easier option. You can find those rain barrels on YouTube, or sorry, not YouTube. You can find those on Facebook Marketplace, on YouTube. They have some good videos about how to set those up. So definitely go to that in the search bar, look for it. Another thing you can do is you can go ahead and just get some little 1 gallon containers like this. They're sealed. Pretty cheap, get these for a couple bucks from like Walmart or something like that. It's definitely an option for keeping water on hand. And then, of course, you need to filter water. You can do that through many different methods. There's bleach, which you can actually put a couple droplets into your water sources and purify it that way. Of course, there's water filters, things like Life Straws. That's more of drinking out of water. It's not like a big filtration system. Sawyer filters, Berkey filters, all great options. I have a couple Sawyers and another water filtration system. Possibly looking to get something like a Berkey here in the future. But yeah, you can also get like smaller things to add into bags, like little iodine tablets. Those work really well. So yeah, there's some different methods there. As far as the next thing, so water, most important, keeping that on hand, having that ready. Food, of course, after that, shelter. You can also kind of throw that in there with a mix, and that's I'm going to kind of move into like survival items, I guess. So ways to start fires, that can be like you can go to the dollar store and pick up boxes of 300 matches for $1. You could have a bunch of those on hand. I mean, they're cheap. Things like flint and steel, lighters, um, fire starting, stuff like that. As far as food goes, this can kind of get broken, at least how I break it up, is into two different categories. So on one hand, I do like long-term food storage, and the other hand, I do my rotational food storage. So for long term, that's going to look like having maybe rice, beans. I'm gonna do a video here shortly, short little video on putting these bags like this into Mylar bags to store. And I think a lot of people, they get it wrong. They put these into like 5-gallon bags and put that in a little 5-gallon bucket. And the thing is, once you open that, I mean, now that food is exposed to the outside air. So I prefer the method of using like 1-quart bags, maybe a little bit bigger, but something where it's manageable. Just keeping like a couple pounds. Honestly, something about this size where it's manageable to open those up. It's also a lot easier to move. Something that weighs 2 pounds versus something that weighs 40, 50 pounds. So yeah, definitely I recommend doing something like that. These are like long-term pasta, rice, um, beans. You can even, there's lots of different dry foods out there. And I'll get into a different food video later. Kind of each of these things I'm walking through. This is just, again, like the intro to it all. I will be walking through this, each of these kind of food, water, protective items, all those sort of things in later videos, kind of specializing in those. So, also another good thing to have, like I said, that rotational storage. So, having, I mean, you can get these little cans for just over $1 a lot of times at stores. And beans, I don't know if you know, but like boiling dried beans takes hours before they're ready to eat. So having canned beans for quick and easy bean access is pretty nice. Get things like veggies. They're not as dense in nutrients as fresh veggies, of course, but still great to have. And then having a lot of salt on hand, um, very useful, preserving stuff. Getting you pick these up, store them in their original containers like this, sealed off, and they'll last quite a while. But with the cans, I like to do a rotational food storage. So things that aren't going to last like 10 plus years, I like to put in a easy access storage area where I can rotate these. So when we're going to use like tomato sauce or certain kinds of pasta or even veggies, beans, you can take in a row. You can take out the oldest one basically, and then you can buy new ones and put them at the back, and that rotates it through. So over time, you're not just losing that money you spent on all those. For the larger items, they last. I mean, dried rice stored correctly can last like 20 years. So that I'm not too worried about. It's also cheaper, and it's not as bad as a investment, I guess you could say. So moving on from that, um, the survival aspect of it all. So we went through water, filtration, food options. Of course, like you can get mountain house meals, those instant meals. Those also cost an exorbitant amount for one meal, versus you can get a lot more calories out of these dry goods. Just a little more work has to go into storage. So next, going to kind of like the survival items. So you've started your prepping. All right, so I got some water on hand, got some food, and of course, each person is going to be in a different spot. So maybe you already have a lot of this equipment, and you can be like, all right, cool, I can just add some stuff, and I'm good to go. Like, okay, maybe I need to add some water, but now I'm good to go for 3 months. Versus someone who has none of this stuff, you're like, I couldn't even survive 3 days after something happened. So that can be like your first goal. Hey, I'm new into this. All right, I'm going to set enough water, food, like some survival equipment to last me 3 days, a week, whatever. That first goal, cool, I hit that. Now you can just expand those resources. So get more of each of those items. Now I can survive a month. Now I can survive 3 months. Now I can survive half a year plus. And of course, that's a goal to be more prepared over time. But for some of you, it's not what you want to do. It's totally fine to get enough stuff to last you a couple weeks if that's what you're planning for. But you are your first responder. You are your family's provider, protector. So it's up to you to make sure they are okay. Do I hope nothing bad ever happens while I'm alive? Like here? 100%. I don't wish any of that. But I would rather be prepared for it. And a lot of the stuff, like the pantry, revolving pantry, water, things like that, survival equipment, backpacking, this can be used for more than just sitting in your garage and never being used. A lot of this can be used for multiple different things and doesn't just have to sit around as like quote unquote wasted money. So moving on from there, we look at now those survival items, like I said. So an important thing here, I believe, is going to be clothing. So let's say you're new into this, you haven't really done a lot of outdoor activities, something like that. I would recommend getting some good clothes because, well, one, they're useful. So having like a good pair. These are just more of like a lighter boot. I have leather boots, bigger boots. I mean, I got a whole plethora, really. Probably too many. But having a pair of boots that you've comfortably broken in can be used, good idea. Um, Having something like wet weather gear. So having like a Gore-Tex top, bad weather, able to use this. This is just REI Gore-Tex top. I definitely recommend not just buying a water resistant one because a lot of them kind of get you, if they're not Gore-Tex, they're not actually truly waterproof. So make sure you're looking at that. Having like a good insulating jacket, um, base layers, things of that sort. Having durable pants, something that you can work in. Again, for this whole preparedness idea, um, if disaster strikes, whatever, you want to have clothes that you can rely on. You don't just want to be running around in your vans like I often find myself, or just a pair of some cheap jeans or whatever they're going to rip first time you actually put them to serious use. So definitely recommend having some good clothing. Don't go out and just buy like all the camouflage, all this, all that, because honestly, it's pretty dumb. You're just going to present yourself as like a target in a disaster situation, whether for help or for someone looking to harm you. If you're all camoed up, you honestly just become a target. It's recognizable to everybody that you probably have something they want, or yeah. So just get some regular colored clothes, black, greens, tans, whatever. Civilian. It's honestly better than all that military equipment, anyways. So I just recommend going out there, getting that stuff. As far as shelter, of course, the house you're living in is your shelter. I think the bug out bags and all that are overrated. Should they? Do they have their own place and use? Sure. Will I probably do a video on one? Probably. But honestly, your best option, where all your resources are in your home. So your best option is to use this as your shelter. If power goes out, something like that, if you have a fireplace in your home, have extra wood that's dry that you can actually use to warm your home. Of course, you can also, in other situations, get things like tents. Um, also useful little shelters you can use. We talked about the bug out bag. A lot of people have some kind of shelter in there. It's just a light backpacking tent. I use this when I go backpacking, but I could also use it, let's say something happens, my home, it's in the middle of winter, power goes out, it's cold. I can set this up inside and we can put a bunch of blankets and stuff in there and keep this pretty warm based off just our body heat because we're creating a smaller, like little ecosystem that we live in and can keep you warmer. So this has its place. And again, you can use these kind of things for backpacking or recreational camping. So you'll find a lot of those kind of things bleed over into preparedness, a lot of the backpacking, a lot of the camping, because you're living off the normal system that you usually are in. Some things in the survival sector would be compasses. maps. Get a good compass. Don't just go buy a $20 one off Amazon. They're not going to work. Believe me. I've done some extensive land navigation, and you want a good compass. It's worth going out and spending $100 on a compass. It can seem like a waste, but it's actually going to tell you where you're going, and that matters when you're trying to navigate. Trust me, it is very easy to get lost in the woods, and if you have a good compass, good maps that are updated, it can really help you in a situation because your phone goes down, you lose power, you're out in the woods, something like that. Maps are important. So have maps, compasses. So like a lot of this stuff isn't fancy. It's water, it's food, it's clothes, kind of like survival equipment. This is the basis of preparedness, having these things. So I'm guessing a lot of you watching already have those items. So good for you. You can just keep moving on from that. You can keep getting more food, more water, diversifying your preparedness from there. But for those new people watching this video, that's going to be where you're going to want to start. So from there, skills I think are the most important thing on this list. And I mean, hey, you're on YouTube right now. A lot of free content on there that you can watch, take in, and learn a lot of cool things. You can also get books. I mean, I I love books, honestly. So getting things like a book on bushcrafting, land nav, survival medicine, and just like um, self sustainability, like books just on all those things. I mean, pretty cheap. Also, these don't require power. Maybe the will and power to sit down and actually read them, but you don't have to be online to get this information. So if something were to happen, you can reference these and got all this information. So with that, the skills, things you can work on is, I mean, learning how to use tools, having tools on hand to use, axes, shovels, um, files, all those kind of things. Um, really helpful. Um, some other things you can get into gardening. I'll be starting my garden here shortly. I'll try and post some videos on what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. It's not big. It is not to sustain my family. I'm not going full fledged. Work with a smaller backyard, so I make do. But I'm learning a skill. It's not just like I honestly put more money into this garden than I get out in produce. But it's the skills I'm learning, how to plant, how to prune, how to harvest that, and then how to take that harvest and like save it. Things like canning, another skill. Sewing, being able to repair things. Those are all skills you can use. I'm also here in a couple weeks going to be picking up some chickens. I've raised chickens a couple times and I loved them, honestly. They are great. They're pretty cheap if you feed them a lot of like scraps from your fridge and you let them graze around the yard. They're really not that expensive to keep. And again, more skills you're learning, more assets you're adding, um, getting fresh eggs, raising like meat chickens, which I may try this time around. I don't know. We'll see. These are just raised hens and had them for their eggs. But again, more skills you can learn, the more space you have if you're out in the country. So like preparedness is really going to be based off of where you're living too. So if you're in the middle of the city in an apartment, you don't have much space to like. I'm in a garage right now. I have space to kind of put stuff around, but I don't have a big yard, so I can't necessarily like get a cow or goats and have them graze. If you're living out in the like farmland, you have an acre or two, you can do that. You can get larger livestock. You can have more animals, bigger garden that you're actually living more sustainably, having your own well, things of that nature, which are very helpful. But you kind of think, where am I at? And basing your preps around that. Am I in the city, in an apartment? Am I in a house in the suburbs? Or am I out in the country and I have some of my own space? Um, also, all those locations are going to then lead into some other things here shortly, such as protection. Um, so, I mean, I did that video just a little bit ago on how to build an IFAC medical. honestly, I would bump that up above even like the clothes and like that kind of stuff. I mean, water, food, and medical. Like that will get you pretty far if you have some skills that you develop. That can get you pretty far. Medical supplies are so important. Having tourniquets, having things like a bigger medical bag. You can use this for your whole family versus just having like a little IFAC. Having medications your family might use on hand, having just general stuff to use. Um, so important. Medical is often overlooked, and getting training and learning how to use the equipment you have is important. So make sure I'm gonna bump that up. I had a little bit low on my list, but honestly, medical vastly important. So other things you can have survival, having things like cordage, 550 cord, rope, um, just these utility items, having them. A lot of you, like I said, are going to already have these, but making sure you have enough. Um, Here shortly, I'm going to be releasing a family emergency uh, planner on how you can basically set up a plan for your family to get these preps in order, maybe where you should move forward from there. And then also in the back of it, it's going to be a section for when an emergency happens. I'll go have some like driving questions that you will then answer, and that will kind of be your plan for your family. All right, where are we going to meet up? How are we going to communicate? Where is all of our preparedness stuff? Is it just scattered throughout the house, or is it organized? So that's going to kind of help you go through how to organize everything and actually have a plan versus just this mess of gear in your garage. So yeah, I think that is important, having those plans. This is also a book that you could, not really a book, I would say more like a binder. This is a binder that you could also give to family members. In the beginning of it, I'm going to have like, welcome to preparing. And it's just going to be like a friendly way to introduce and maybe put some questions in their head to see, kind of root those seeds of what would I do if something happened, if a fire, earthquake, if there was civil unrest, riots, what would I do in those circumstances? Um, so yeah, I will definitely be releasing that here soon, hopefully in the next 3 weeks or so. Um, Maybe sooner than that. Just keep your eye out. So after we kind of got those basic survival things set, right? We've learned some things. We got food, we got water, we got basic medical survival things, shelter like tarps, your own home, having that ready. Now I'm gonna move into like the protection aspect. So having things like a handgun that you actually go out and shoot regularly, knowing how to handle a firearm. Again, this is YouTube. This is cleared, safe, all that. Nothing inserted. Um, but this is a very important skill. Being a protector, provider of your family, you should be able to do those things. Provide an emergency and be able to protect them in worst case scenario. However, if you are in a state right now where they do allow you to buy something called an AR-15, I would go and buy that. So YouTube again, this has been cleared. We are good. Pointing in a safe direction. I recommend you go out and buy an AR-15. So this is something that is going to, one, it's easy to shoot, honestly, for everybody. Much easier than a handgun. Handguns actually require skill, unlike a lot of people think. They go out to the range once a month, think they actually know how to shoot a handgun. False. You do not know how to shoot a handgun. You need to go more often than that. Anyways, back to the AR-15 here. So this one right here, I have other ones, but this one right here is a Palmetto State Armory. This is kind of like my intro into this platform. So this is what I recommend if you do not have one, honestly. One, they are very affordable. Two, they will get most things done for what you're going to need them for. Um, if you're honestly not going to go out and shoot a lot, or you're not going to use this as like a duty weapon, this will do most things for you. So when you get it, right? I mean, if it's available still in your state, I would do it. Seems like there's a lot of laws being shot around right now to get rid of these, and a lot of them, though, if you've already had it, you're grandfathered in. So I recommend go out and buy one of these. So I'm not sponsored by Palmetto. I just honestly, I've been shooting this one for a while, and it's done well for me. So I mean, they have like their Saber line, which is higher end, I guess higher mid range, I would say. BCM, another like mid range, mid tier, but also much more capable than this is. You're gonna get higher round count out of them. You're just gonna get better reliability. But for your first one, honestly, Palmetto State Armory. Get into how to shoot these. Watch some videos. Go out to the range. Get some trigger time. Learn how to use the system. So you buy it, right? Cool. Got my upper, my lower. Most likely has nothing on it. Go ahead and pick up some little iron sights. These are just like the little Magpul guys. They're cheap. Cool thing is they actually integrate after you buy yourself a red dot. So first thing, got myself some iron sights. And you're gonna go ahead and get yourself a sling. So you're able to see what you're shooting, able to retain the rifle to your body. And then next, go ahead and pick up a little red dot. This is like, I kind of want to show this one because it's a good budget option for somebody. I mean, total thing with everything on it probably comes out to maybe $1,000. This is a little like SIG red dot. It's done well for me. Haven't had any problems with it. I mean, it was like I think just over $100 when I bought it. So cheap optic. This is just a Streamlight. I mean, little pressure pad there. It's honestly going to do the job for you. 1,000 lumen, like it's gonna do it. It's a little like grip you can throw on there. Just preference for shooters. I enjoy it. Be able to get that good. Same hand position every time I'm shooting. And yeah, I mean, there's not a ton that's too fancy about this, but it will do the job, and it's a great starting option. You're getting into this platform. So you got your AR-15. Nice. Buy some ammo. Buy some magazines. Go out and shoot it. Once you have that, again, I recommend like this. If you don't have any guns, buy this first because they're coming down on them, and this is going to be the most capable thing you have to defend yourself. Sure, can't really conceal that as easy, but you have that to defend your home, like I'm kind of talking about. Next thing, so I would get chest rig. Does not have to be this specific one. There are lots of chest rigs out there. You could go buy some cheaper options. Definitely viable. I recommend as you're moving through some of these items, just buy nice. If you buy a bunch of cheap stuff, I'm guilty of it myself. They're gonna end up going into a box once you upgrade because you bought that and you're like, that didn't work very well. I want something better. So you go out and you buy something better, and then that just goes to a box. Kind of end up being wasted money. Of course, you can also, something I'm doing is setting up equipment so that if you needed to, you could share that equipment and other people could use it. So it's viable, of course, but go out and buy a good rig. Lots of different companies, T-Rex Arms, Preparedness, Onward Research, like their rig. I think it's gonna hold some mags, hold some water, hold some like extra goodies in here. I have on Instagram, I have a layout of what I have in this. Yeah, I mean, this kind of has what you need. So yeah, this is just Preparedness with Thing 2 on it. I've run this quite a bit and has seen some time in the woods, and I really like it. So yeah, I mean, whatever you do you, but I did like this one. Another thing you can do if you just buy an AR-15, this little guy right here, it's like $10 surplus, you know. Holds 6 magazines. You could also take 2 of these out and put a radio in there, and then bam, it becomes a little bandolier that you can grab your rifle in this. You have extra ammo. You could even put medical in one of these, some extra ammo or radio. I mean, you can kind of have everything you need on you. Just toss this on, $10, pretty cheap. Basically the same thing as that chest rig. Very similar. I mean, I guess you could just grab a water bottle, put it in your back pocket. I mean, it does the same job, honestly. So You don't always, like I said, have to go out and buy a super crazy expensive thing. But I actually like having this as a supplemental thing for my kit because I can actually grab my chest rig and this. I'm really needing a lot of ammo, and bam, I have like 12 magazines, a lot of ammo. So yeah, definitely options there. Um, so also kind of, I guess a little earlier, buy yourself a nice fixed blade. Doesn't have to be super crazy. There's lots of good fixed blade options out there. I like knives. Just started actually making my own, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you just get yourself a good blade that you know is gonna work. I mean, SE, I believe EES, EE, that makes them pretty budget. Like I would say budget for a knife. Like people are gonna think, oh wow, $150. Like that's not budget, but that actually is for a good knife. Good knives are gonna cost you anywhere from 150 to $400. So you can definitely go to the cheaper ones. 150, I would say, like invest in a good knife. I use them a lot. They're also just an incredibly useful piece of kit and very versatile. So recommend getting a good knife. Again, buy nice, buy twice. You go buy out a little like, you know, Gerber, survival knife that's $25 from Cabela's. It's probably going to break the first time you seriously use it. It also is going to dull extremely quickly and not be usable for a longer period of time. So yeah, I mean, here's what you want to do, but definitely recommend buying those nicer items. Don't make the same mistakes I have made. So after that, cool. I got my rifle, I got my chest rig, got some extra magazines. Go buy some ammo. I mean, the metal stick unless you have ammo in it, right? So go buy like 1,000 rounds. I know it's a big investment. You're like, whoa, that's just almost just as much as I paid for this gun. Yes, but go get some training. Go pay for a class. Find a buddy who's into shooting and go with them and learn some things. Um, and having ammo on hand, 1,000 rounds is like what I like to have. Of course, you can plus that up. You might go below that, but cycling that ammunition, keeping fresh stuff in, it was good. So then after that, again, I would do that rifle just because of where laws are going. Buy that first, and then once you kind of get comfortable shooting a rifle, go ahead and buy yourself a handgun. I recommend Glock. Am I partial? Yes. I have run into zero issues with Glocks. Same with a lot of people that use them. A lot of things coming out about SIG and other companies where they're just not reliable. Guess what? Doesn't have that come out. Glocks. Are they the most comfortable to shoot? No. But can you get comfortable on them? Yes. So training, getting rounds down range, fighting classes, that sort of thing, that's what's going to help you with that. So get yourself a handgun. Block 19, Block 17. Um, get that concealed carry class so you're able to carry it with you every day. I carry every day. If you want to be a protector, that's something you should look to do. If we had more people carrying weapons in this world, maybe we could do some more good, stop more of those bad guys. But anyways, um, yeah, so just recommend Glocks. They work really well. So then go ahead and buy yourself a light. I mean, this is just a little streamlight, definitely more of a budget option. You can also do, I recommend either going Streamlight or, yeah, Streamlight or Surefire. There you go. Either of those. If you want a cheaper one, Streamlight. If you want a more expensive one, go with Surefire. I really just recommend those two brands. Don't go with Olight, any of those. They just have proven bad track records of not working or exploding. So go with something that's going to work, do the job. So light, handgun. You can do an optic. I don't run any optics. I mean, are they proven to probably be a little bit better? Sure. So if you want to get something that has that, go ahead and run that. I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. Do what you prefer, what you're comfortable with. You're also going to want to get, if you get concealed carry, get that inside the waistband holster, and then get an outside the waistband holster. Something like on my gun belt over there, which I will show in later video. So I won't grab right now, but getting something that you can run the gun on a belt system. Um, Getting a belt, that's important. Um, so after that, body armor. So after you feel like you've got kind of your weapons, you've got enough ammo. I've already plus up on food, and at this point, while I'm working through these like weapon systems, I'm gonna be buying more food, more water, more medical, um, to plus those up even more. So now I'm at like, let's say you started this and you got a week's worth, then you kind of got some clothes and stuff. You had a couple more weeks. You're sitting in a month. Roll to the weapons area, buy your AR-15. All right, I'm gonna go buy another month's worth of food and water, and then get the handgun by another month. So now I'm like at 3 months of those basic needs, and now I have these weapons too. So you kind of want to like progress up. Um, you get like a basic. It's again not that expensive. You get basic food, water, survival equipment. Um, and then after that, definitely start working towards uh, weapons, moving on from there, and then adding more, of course. And then we get to body armor plates. Do they have their place? Sure. Are they as important as people make them out to be? No. I would rather have a really good chest rig and a good like backpack, something like something like this. I'd rather have those two things than plates, honestly, because those are more versatile, and you're going to find yourself using those more often for training at the range or going backpacking, or you need to put supplies in a backpack like that, move out. You could. You're not going to find yourself using plates until you need them. When you do need them, yes, they would be very good to have. So I think they do have a place on the preparedness list, but definitely not one of the first items. Having mags, ammo, ability to defend yourself, food, water, I think comes first. Having a good test rig before you go buy a plate carrier, do that. And then, yeah, go for a plate carrier. You don't need to get a massive plate carrier that's got all these crazy pouches on it that you can't even reach. Because if you're by yourself and you have this thing attached to your back with a bunch of stuff in it, you have to take your plate off, then access that bag. So, not very useful. As far as like civilian plate carriers, get a slick plate carrier, something from, again, like T-Rex arms, something like the Agilite K0, Cry JVC 2.0. I would not get multicam too. Like I said, you're gonna stick out if you're all this camouflage bush Wookie out there. I would get tan, green. Maybe stay away from black because it has more limited uses than tan or like green. It's gonna work into woods and urban areas. Yeah, and then have like a little placard, some ammo, little general stuff, you know. Maybe some like a hydration carrier running around, radio. You don't need to go and put 50 pounds of gear because most likely you're not fit enough to carry 50 pounds of gear on your back for miles. So I guess it leads me to another point. Go work out. Be able to carry heavy amounts because if your family is depending on you to react in an emergency situation and you can't move your own lazy self around the house, how are you going to be able to protect your family? How are you going to be able to move miles, lift something heavy, carry your child? You gotta work out. That's like stepping stone one. And guess what? That's free. You can do that in your own home. You don't even have to go to a gym. Work out in your own house. Go on runs down the road, push ups, pull ups. It's free to be in shape. All this stuff isn't free, but it's free to do that. So go get in shape. Moving on from that, I kind of have a 3 kit system I'm working on right now. It's not fully complete, but I am working on a low vis kit, which is um, very like low profile carrier. Like you can't see under a jacket. Um, a shorter rifle or a pistol, sorry, pistol, and then a bag. Everything that just looks like normal going into the city that I can run with me, so it doesn't stick out. From there, I kind of have like a battle rattle um, full kit. It's got like my plate carrier, belt, helmet, like all of the goodies of the go to war stuff, you know. And then my last one, which is one I'm still kind of currently working on, is a long range kit. So giving you the ability to go out there and shoot far distance. I'm kind of looking at some different weapon systems here, and hopefully here purchase one, show it to you guys, see what I'm learning and training on, and getting those skills to do kind of some long range shooting. So yeah, those are kind of the three kits I'm working on building out. I think it kind of gives me the ability to do whatever I need with each one. Um, yeah, it's kind of some options. Maybe you want to do the same thing. Also, I'm going to have like some like Pelican case, something like that that they're in. Not I'm gonna have like three Pelican cases. I'll have like one, and then there'll be like in duffel bags, and those can go into that, and I can take that with me. So it's easily movable, protected, and organized. Organization important. From there, so some like extra gear I recommend having a good backpack, of course. I mean, gas masks. I haven't really acquired those yet, but I think that has its own place on this list. Can be useful for sure. But make sure also with this stuff, you're not, if you have a family, make sure you're keeping them in mind when you're buying stuff, because if you have everything you need, then you're like, oh, wait, my family doesn't have anything for them. Maybe they want a backpack, they can carry some extra stuff, some water, some food, like they can be an asset to your family too. So keep that in mind. If you're on your own, good luck. And then other things like you can do would be getting like hardening your home. I would definitely said this is your sanctuary. This is where you want to, at most, if you can, stay here in emergencies. Getting sandbags if there's flooding or you need to barricade parts of your home. Go out to the backyard, dig up some dirt, toss it in here, put it wherever you need around your home. So with that, you need a shovel, right? You need dirt to dig, but it's definitely an option. Having like the little things, bars that go to like handles and doors to kind of like stop people from kicking them in, makes it harder at least. I'm definitely going to do a separate video on just like hardening your home, security cameras, um, fixing like your door frame, putting in bigger screws into the 2x4s actually, so you can't just like easily kick in doors, locking gates around your home, um, even to like putting thorny bushes under windows makes it harder for intruders to get in. Putting signs like security system, actually having a security system in your home, motion detecting lights. Kind of went on a little trail there, but I will definitely have a separate video on how to do that and what I'm currently doing to my house to try and make it a little bit hardened and make people want to avoid it. Also, yeah, like I said earlier, having tools, having screwdrivers, screws, hammer, nails, wood, saws, axes, shovels, all those goodies. Another thing, kind of, these are like after you get these main things done, these are kind of some other things you can start adding that are just going to like increase your ability to do things, kind of going along with learning those new skills. Um, Night vision. I also have not acquired my own night vision, although I'm looking to hopefully here soon. It is a big ticket item. It is hard to justify because it's like, when are you actually ever going to use this for this thousands and thousands of dollar item? But they do have their place. Thermal can also go along with this. Drones. Um, but again, if something like an EMP happens, which I'll kind of look to do a video on how to protect your stuff against EMPs. Um, if something like that happens, that could wipe out that equipment. So storage, like storing it correctly, having solar panels to charge said gear, batteries, um, the sustainment items, tape, rope. Again, all these are kind of there. I know we've covered a lot of information, but it's just kind of like intro, getting your thought process going about like what I should add. And I'll probably end up doing a post on Instagram, like a little bit more laid out, like a list for people starting, like, okay, cool, I can follow that list and go by. But I'm just kind of getting conversation started, throwing ideas out there, try and jog some things for you. But yeah, so yeah, I would say go out to wherever your stuff is, account for it, see what actually is still good. Like if you have food sitting on your garage for a long time, it might not be good anymore. So checking in, recommend either tonight after you see this video or make a time for it. Go out, look through all your equipment. I just did that. I just kind of went through all my stuff, tried to organize the best I could, and I actually found some holes in my preparedness. I need more water than I currently have. I really only have enough for like a week or two, and I should have a little bit more than that. So, again, I will, from this, is kind of the broad general video. I'm going to be doing some more specific videos that will be a lot easier for you to digest on water, food, protection, survival, and then maybe trying to share some skills I've learned for you guys to also try and learn resources I enjoy. I am not being paid by any of these companies. I am a very small account. So this is all just my opinions, not swayed by anything. So yeah, thank you for watching again. Go ahead and drop a like, comment, or subscribe below. It really helps as this is kind of just starting and taking off here. Hopefully you all follow me for the journey. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to either DM me on Instagram, drop a comment below. I will try and get back to you as quick as I can. Thank you guys for watching.